the most unsatisfying finish possible to a football game. A tie. And, that was low-key a great game. Back and forth between the 49ers and the Raiders in the preseason. Brock Purdy looked excellent to start the game, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But then the backups and the guys that are on the bubble are battling it out, and this means a lot to the fans. It was as loud in here as it was at some points in the Super Bowl. These fans wanted to have bragging rights leaving the stadium, and now nobody has bragging rights because Raiders coach Antonio Pierce decided to play for the tie at the end instead of going for it on fourth down. It obviously was a high probability of the 49ers winning on fourth and long, so I think that Pierce just didn't want to lose to the 49ers, didn't want to give him bragging rights, but come on. And you can tell how much it meant to the 49ers backups at the end, the final play. Remember the holy roller for the Raiders against the Chargers back in the day? That was like a holy roller on steroids. Obviously, I think Tanner Mordecai threw a pass forward, so there was a flag thrown at that point, but it didn't matter to the 49ers. They wanted to give the crowd their money's worth. They're laying on the field, exhausted after the end of it. Just absolute, it was craziness here at Allegiant Stadium. Fun way to end the preseason. Thankfully, the preseason is done. But Antonio Pierce, what are you doing, man? I want to see a winner. It's not soccer. I want to see a winner. I want to see a loser at the end of the game. And there's nothing to lose. So why would you kick the field goal in that situation? That's one that this is a preseason game we'll be talking about for longer than usual, which is probably 5 minutes instead of 5 seconds. But that got my goat there at the very end. Anyway, what mattered for the 49ers is that Brock Purdy needed to come out and look good, and he looked great for San Francisco. We saw what Brock Purdy will look like with a really good protection from the very start of this football game. First play, threw it to Deebo Samuel. Great protection, and it was a beautiful pass to Deebo where only he could get it along the sideline. Then there was a play where Brock Purdy got drilled. I think Dominic Pooney got crossed up by the stunt, the 49ers rookie right guard, and Purdy got drilled, but he still threw a layered pass 20-plus yards downfield over the middle to George Kittle. Absolutely sensational pass. You could probably count on one hand the amount of quarterbacks in the NFL that can make that throw while getting hit. Brock Purdy's obviously one of them, and he did it consistently throughout all of last season. Then there's one where he found Chris Conley rolling out to the right, which was sensational as well, getting away from a guy and kind of, I have to watch the tape, but I think he might have three-quarters angled his arm to make that throw downfield. So Purdy, fantastic. There was also the one that they reviewed. They should, by the way, speaking of the preseason, they need to outlaw reviews in the preseason. I know Jordan Mason didn't catch it, but they can't slow down the pace of the game like that. It was a great escape from Brock Purdy. He showed us some of the elite quickness and the spatial awareness that he has. And the pass to Mason obviously wasn't hauled in, but I think that we saw everything that we needed to as far as Purdy's readiness for the season. And he did that without Trent Williams. He did it without Christian McCaffrey, and he did it without Brandon Ayuk. But Ayuk was in attendance, which you have to consider to be at least a solid sign as far as the good faith of the negotiations that may or may not be occurring between the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk right now. It's hard to determine what exactly is happening on that front because we've had so many ups and downs and so much drama and so many conflicting reports. But Brandon Ayuk was here, wasn't playing. Brock Purdy played well regardless. Please do not listen to anybody that says that interception was Brock Purdy's fault. Colton McKivitz, the right tackle, got beaten bad by Snowden, the defensive end for the Raiders. It's 3rd and 6. Purdy gets rid of the ball and puts it on Deebo Samuel. The cornerback made a great play to knock the ball up into the air, and it was intercepted. It was a deflected football on a play where Brock Purdy made the throw to where it needed to be, despite immediate pressure when his right tackle got beaten very badly. So anybody that knows anything about the game will not put that interception on Brock Purdy, who was very solid today. Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen were both good for the 49ers as well. Tanner Mordecai there at the end made a nice throw to Ronnie Bell crossing the field. And now we move into roster cutdown mode. Will somebody like Ronnie Bell make the football team or make the practice squad? Thought he had a very spirited, tenacious punt return today. After a mistake that he made on offense, running in the seam was open. Brandon Allen threw a good pass, but I think Bell turned the wrong way. I'm going to have to watch the film there. Speaking of special teams, Isaac Guerendo. There have been only 2 players in the past 20 years to come into the NFL who are 220 pounds and have run a 4.340. DK Metcalf and Isaac Guerendo. And I think that might be the ideal size-speed combo for the new kickoff rule. And we saw a 93-yard kickoff for Isaac Guerendo, where he probably had to run 120, 130 yards because he crossed the field. And it's no coincidence that the first 50 or so yards for Isaac, he was shot out of a cannon, and then it looked like he got a piano logged on his back, like a trailer hitched to him for the last 30 or 40 yards of that return. But when you're running that fast, with that kind of mass, so that kind of muscle, you're not going to be able to run like Usain Bolt over the final 100 yards at the 200, which Isaac Guerendo had to run there. But boy, if the 49ers found their kick returner and their punt returner in this draft class, and I think Isaac Guerendo's got a good shot to be the kick returner, made up for missing almost all the preseason with that performance today. I thought he ran the ball well too on offense, and obviously Jacob Cowing, he scored that touchdown on the nice thread the needle throw from Josh Dobbs. The 49ers found both of those positions through this draft. So it's already a win for that draft class. I mean, they're getting a lot from Tatum Bethune down the stretch. We'll see if he makes the team or if he'll be a practice squad guy as one of those final linebackers that was playing today for the 49ers. You go up and down through the class. The one guy that we haven't seen yet in these preseason games is Ricky Pearsall, and they're slow playing it. John Lynch even said the other day they're higher now on Pearsall than they were before they drafted him, and I think that they're just trying to make sure that shoulder's okay, and I think there's a very, very good chance that Pearsall will still be a big contributor for the 49ers this year. Remember that Brandon Ayuk missed the first game of his NFL career. He was hurt in week 1 of 2020, and obviously he had a big rookie season, and now he's up for a big contract. So I think people need to keep that Pearsall situation in context. I have arrow up for Guerendo, arrow up for Cam Latu. I haven't mentioned him. Cam Latu, it's time to acknowledge that he's really improving as a player. He's catching the football. That's a big stride over last year. On the kick return for Guerendo, the 93-yarder, Latu and his big frame took out 2 bodies over on the edge to set Guerendo up for shooting out of that cannon. So I think that Latu might have the ideal mass, the ideal body type for the new kick returns, the new rules on those plays, and I think that the 49ers really like his body type for blocking in their offensive system. So as long as he's showing that he's an ascending player and he had to solve some of those drop issues and he made a couple catches today, I think that he might be in a good position to grab that 4th tight end spot. And Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, really good for the 49ers. Had the big hit combined with Jair Brown to force that fumble early in the game. That was big-time stuff for the 49ers, forcing that turnover. A couple injury scares. Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos went out on successive plays with knee injuries. I'm going to go talk to Kyle Shanahan and company right now as I head to the locker room, so I got to continue here at Levi Stadium. And the 49ers will hope for good news on those fronts, and I will update you as soon as I do have an update on the Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd fronts. Leonard was smiling on the sideline after that, so I think that the news there probably is going to be good for the 49ers, but we cannot take that for granted. Late in the game, we saw Darrell Luter Jr. with an interception on that 4th down. Impressive stuff for San Francisco. We'll see you guys soon.